people can watch it later and watch it live and in person, even if you're not on Zoom. So great to be here with everyone. Welcome again, everyone who is joining us here on Friday night for Mikveh Israel's once a month Friday night virtual only Zoom/YouTube service. So anybody is welcome to join us on YouTube. Anybody who wants to participate can join us on Zoom. And everybody who joins us, if you'd like to do something in Hebrew or English, singing or reading, you are all cordially welcome. Thank you again to people who are already with us tonight, helping to lead the service. So welcome to Noel and to Caton and to Alan and to Glenn and to Flo and to Jonathan and to Kelly, our wonderful soloist. And of course, welcome to Leslie, president of our congregation. We'll be using the Mishkan Tefillah book, which we also have online through the generous support of the Union for Reform Judaism that keeps it out there free for all of us. They only really needed to do it for a short time, but they've kind of left it out there for us. So really appreciative. So we're going to begin our service on page, one second. On page, I think when I left, it disappeared. So give me 1 second, everybody, to get back up. I think when I had to rush out a second ago, I accidentally turned it off. All right, now we got it. All right, now here we go. That should be it. All right, we've done it. So we are turned to page 2 or 120. As you know, many of you, but not all of you perhaps, there are 2-page options, one for the smaller book, one for the larger one. So I'm going to first light the candles, and then we're going to invite Caton to lead us in the prayer.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you, Caton. And again, welcome to everyone who is joining us here tonight. We're now going to turn to page 377 in our prayer book. And the reason we're going so far back to page 377 or page 681 is that because, of course, we just had Veterans Day, we're going to start by singing America the Beautiful, as we will do tomorrow morning when we have our veteran service. Page 377 or 681, as we invite Kelly to lead us.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrim feet whose stern impassioned stress a thoroughfare for freedom beat across the wilderness. America, America, God mend thine every flaw, proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. O beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Kelly, for that beautiful rendition. It's wonderful, not only because of your voice, but so rarely do we get to hear all of the verses, and it's really a treat. So we're going to turn to page 6 or page 124, as we're going to invite Leslie Westmoreland to read our opening reading at the bottom of the page. And remember, the door to the synagogue is not just the physical space, but the religious space and the spiritual space.
May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, and hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
Thank you, Leslie. As we're going to turn to page 20 or 138 for Lacha Dodi, as we're going to invite Kelly to lead us. I believe we're just going to sing the refrain and then continue with Shabbat Shalom. Page 20 or 138.
Lecha Dodi, Likrot Kala, Penei Shabbat Nikabla, Lecha Dodi, Likrot Kala, Penei Shabbat Nikabla, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach.
Thank you, Kelly. Let's turn now to 28 or 146. There we find the call to worship, the Baruch Hu, as I invite everyone who would like to please rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Thank you, Kelly. And as we look on page 28 and 29, we see one Hebrew prayer and 3 English prayers. We know, though, that that's actually all one prayer. It's the Hebrew with 3 different translations. So we're now going to turn to page 31. So it seems like we're skipping a bunch of pages, but we're actually not, because 31 and 30 are the same prayer. So I'm going to invite Alan Seidman to lead us before we sing this prayer with a footnote at the bottom of the page.
I know that the tide is not an independent force, but merely the submission of the water to the movement of the moon and its orbit in its orbit. And this orbit in its turn is subject to other orbits which are mightier far than it. And so the whole universe is held fast in the clinging grip of strong hands. The forces of earth and sun, planets and comets and galaxies, blindly erupting forces, ceaselessly stirring in ripples of silence to the very depth of black space.
Thank you, Alan. Beautifully read. As we're going to continue on page 30 or 148, as Kate is going to lead, sorry, not 31, 32. Page 32 or 150 is Kate is going to lead us in Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amecha Ahavta Amecha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Ukimu mishpatim Otanu lemadeta Al Kain Adonai Eloheinu Mishofenu Ukumenu Na'asiya Bekukecha V'nishmat Divrei Tortecha U'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed Im chayenu Ve'orech yameinu Uvahem nege yomam b'layla Nege yomam b'layla Mi'ahavatcha al tasir Mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Ohev amo Yisrael.
Thank you, Caden. As we're going to turn to the bottom of page 33 or 151, as we're going to invite Glenn to lead us in the translation. And Glenn, you're still on mute, just to let you know. And Glenn, you're still on mute, just to let you know. Sorry about that.
Sure.
All right, perfect.
Trying to make sure I'm on the right page. I can read it from here.
I can make it bigger if you'd like.
That'd be great. Bottom of 33.
It says wisdom and wonder.
Wisdom and wonder. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael.
Thank you very much, Glenn. As we're going to turn to the next page, 34, 152, as Kelly is going to lead us in Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Thank you, Kelly. And for those of you who are standing, please be seated. As on page 36 or 154, we invite Cain to lead us in our prayer, thanking God for for the commandments ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושננתם לבניך ותיבטחם, ושבתך ביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Thank you, Kate. And as we're going to invite our wonderful member in Houston, Texas, Noel, to read the translation. And just let you know you're still on mute, Noel. Perfect.
You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Take to heart these instructions which I charge you this day, and press them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all thy commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohim Emet.
Thank you. Beautifully done. As we're going to continue now on page 38, as we're going to invite Flo to read at the bottom of the page, 39, the bottom of the page.
In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from the calmness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bowed ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again, we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in the dark ages your vision of the world redeemed. Let us continue to work for that day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then we shall rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Thank you, Flo. As we continue on the next page with Micha Mocha, our prayer for freedom.
ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה.
Thank you, Kelly. On page 42 or 160, we see Hashkivenu, our prayer for the evening, as we ask God to protect us as we rest. We're going to sing, though, a different version. This one is one we enjoy listening to Kelly sing. So I've now put it on the screen as we invite Kelly to lead us, of course, in Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu suchat shlomecha, ufros aleinu suchat shlomecha. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
Thank you, Kelly, as we're going to return back to our prayer book to page 44 or 162, as we're going to invite Keaton to lead us in our prayer for the Sabbath, Vishamru.
V'shamaru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, Lasod et HaShabbat, Lidorotam, Be'rit Olam. Be'ni uvein b'nei Yisrael, Odi le'olam, Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, Et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Uvayom hashivi, Shabbat vayinafash. Uvayom hashivi, Shabbat vayinafash.
Thank you, Keaton, as we're going to turn to 48 or 166 for the Avot, and then we'll go to 50 or 168 for the Giberot, as I invite everyone who'd like to please rise for the beginning of the Amidah.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, ושוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע מלכי, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מחלל חיים וחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומק נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך נמית ומקיים ומצמיח ישועה, ולמען אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
Thank you, Caton. As we're going to turn to page 53, as we'll invite Glenn to lead us at the top of the page.
Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
Thank you, Glenn. As I invite everyone who is standing to please be seated, as we're going to continue on page 55, as we're going to invite Flo to lead us in this prayer for the Sabbath at the bottom of the page. Flo, you may still be on Zoom.
Okay.
Perfect.
Disturb us, Adonai. Ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude that arises from the shunning of all the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid the world full of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancy rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of the living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be the day for tepor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred into action. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Thank you very much, Flo, as we're going to turn to page 57. And there at the top of the page, we see Retzeh and the translation ever-present one at the top of the page again. And that's actually a song for this prayer. So we're going to invite Kelly to lead us an ever-present one.
Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayers. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayers. Wherever we live, land in Zion restored in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Ever-present One, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayers. Say Adonai Eloheinu be'amacha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land in Zion restored in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in ever-present One, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayers.
Thank you, Kelly. As we're going to turn to the top of page 59 or 177 for our prayer modim, thank you. I'm going to invite Leslie to read the top of the page where it says, God of goodness.
God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai Hatov Shemcha Alha Ne Lahadot.
Thank you very much. As we're going to turn to the next page, page 60, and invite Cain to lead us in our prayer of peace, Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim, Tasim, Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim, Tasim, Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lecho hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim, Tasim, Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim, Tasim,
Thank you, Caton. As we're going to invite Alan to conclude the Amidah on page 61 or 179 with the translation of Shalom Rav.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
Thank you, Alan. As we know, during this part of our service, we take a moment as we say a prayer for those in need of healing. On page 253 or 371, we find our Mishaberach in the middle of the page. And I'll invite now anyone who is on Zoom or YouTube to give us any names they would like.
Sid Blackmore.
Noel, did you have a name you want to give? You're still on mute.
I'm doing.
Perfect.
My sister, Susan Tolsky.
Together as a community, we sing our Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avoteinu Makor HaBarakah Le'imoteinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imoteinu Makor HaBarakah Le'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Thank you, Kelly. And now I'm going to invite everyone to take that moment of private meditation.
Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
Thank you, Kelly, and everybody else who's joining us. Welcome to Malvina, who is joining us tonight. We have people from South Carolina, from Texas, from Georgia. And Alan, where are you tonight? Are you in town or are you out of town?
I am right here in Parkside, Savannah, Georgia.
Okay, because it had somebody else's name on the original Zoom link. That's why.
It's all kosher.
Well, we're going to take a moment to see if anybody is celebrating anything tonight or the last week or this upcoming week. Anything that you guys want to share with us? Kelly does.
Yes, here I go again bragging about my baby child, but they've put out a new song on Spotify, and I'm really proud of them because they've done a lot of work on orchestration. So you'll hear a full orchestra that they play all by themselves. And all the harmonies and everything. It's a really interesting song. It's called Average. So I could put a link in the chat to it.
That'd be
make
great.
it easy for people to get to it. And it's a song about what it's like to have what they feel they have. It's a rejection sensitive dysphoria. So interesting comment
well, they sound very average for making a song average.
It's not.
How many instruments do they play to do this, or did they bring out the sound?
Well, I think it's just all the keyboard, although they might be doing some string things too, but they're doing it all synthesized on in a awesome software program. So, and singing. So, yeah.
All right. Anybody else? That's awesome. She's always so cool. All right. So let's say Shechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lasman hazeh. Blessed are you, eternal God, ruler of the universe, who creates us and sustains us and brings us to times of joy, just like celebrating our genius daughters. Amen. Now, before we continue our service, I think many of us have heard of the famous story from Vayetze. It's called Jacob's Ladder. We've heard of it, we've thought about it, we've discussed it. And I just wanted to bring up one interesting point that I sometimes forget when I read the story. In the story, of course, Jacob sees the angels going up and down the ladder. To our modern sensibilities and our modern belief system, we look at this very differently than people would have in the ancient world. What do I mean? Because what do we think of when we go up that ladder or stairway? We believe we're going to, thank you, Flo, heaven. That's right. That's kind of what we think. We imagine the angels coming down are human beings who have died and are helping out or other. But that is not the belief system from when this was written. When this was written, people did not believe they went upstairs all the way up there to heaven. They believed that human beings went underground to some sort of place after we died, and that it didn't necessarily matter how we behaved on this earth or not. That did not necessarily affect where we went. So when we look at this, we look at the idea that these angels are coming from heaven where we want to go. But when this was written, the angels are just messengers from God sent down to send messages to us and perhaps help us in ways. So it's interesting how the story reads to me today is very different than it would have read a very long time ago when they didn't even have a thought of going up to heaven themselves. It was just not part of their belief system yet. It wouldn't be 1,000 years or more before it was part of ours. So something to think about when you think about Jacob's Ladder and how in the ancient world, they would have looked at this story very differently. And in fact, today we probably find more meaning. So everyone, again, Shabbat Shalom. As we're going to continue our service, we're going to turn to page 258. And there we're going to find our prayer for the country, which obviously is apropos today because we, of course, are celebrating our veterans this weekend. So I'm going to invite Noel to lead us in the prayer for our country, where it says, our guardian of life and liberty. I think it's Noel. Yeah, Noel, would you like to read that?
Yes. Am I on?
Yes, where it says, guardian of life and liberty.
Okay, I just have to show you my father's World War II dog tag.
Very cool.
And it said, they didn't say you were Jewish, you were Hebrew. Did you know that?
I did. And I actually just officiated at the funeral for one of the last two World War II soldiers in the Chatham County a couple of days ago. There's only one left, according to the people at the Mighty Eighth. So it's a generation that is disappearing. So thank you for honoring him. And thank you for honoring us by reading this. And I'm gonna make it smaller as at the very end so you can see the last couple of lines.
Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness. So let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread. I'm having a hard time saying. Share your bread with the hungry and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give them clothing and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us to all appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. Can you make it bigger?
I can't make it bigger. It'll be blocked by this bar thing, but I'll finish it off for you. How's that? May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen. So I still have to move this bar at the bottom. Everything else seems to move except for that. So we're going to now turn to page 282 as we find the Elenu. It's also page 586. We're going to sing the Elenu at the bottom as I invite all those who would like to please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
And we're going to go to page 287 or page 591 as we invite Kelly to lead us in the Ne'emar.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Thank you, Kelly, as we're going to prepare for Kaddish by turning to page 291 or 595 as Keaton leads us in Yesh Kochavim, known in English as There Are Stars Up Above.
I always enjoy singing this. I'm reminded of the many things that I was taught as a child. I didn't know that it was Torah I was being taught. I just thought that that's what my parents thought I should do. And so I finally learned. But here it is. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light. Long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. We remember as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. We remember. Yesh kochavim shel ram magi aratza. Rak kasher Hem atzmam avdu be'einam. Yesh anashim shizi zikram meir, kasher hem atzmam einam od betochenu. Orod eleha magikim, Becheskat halayil, Heim shemarim ladam et haderech et haderech. Hein, hein, shemarim la'adam et haderech, et haderech.
Thank you, Caton. As we're going to turn to page 295, we think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in past years, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. On this weekend of all weekends, we first take a moment to honor all the men and women who gave their lives through the years, defending our rights as members of our military. We honor them for their dedication and for giving their lives to protect ours. Remember those who died over the last year and a half from COVID. We also remember the Artside anniversary of Bertha Millman Friedman, W. Leon Friedman Sr., Lynn Stacy Getz, Richard Gumpert, Max E. Guthman, Solomon Hirsch, Sarah Risa Kenner Jacobson, Francis Shapiro Kessel, Ray Kilpatrick, Rebecca Kraft, Larry Lipsitz, Estelle Neri, Morris Rabinowitz, Sigo Armendo, Norman Richard, Norman David Richard, Bernard Unger, Rachel Bash Victor, Mildred Wexelbaum, Edgar Wartzman, and Dr. Joseph L. Zerman. Our hearts also go out to the family of Risha Katzman, who lost her father, Harry Katzman, who was laid to rest earlier this week. And our thoughts go out to the family of Judy Glazer, who just passed away today. There will be a memorial service for her at a time to be set in the future. So we'll probably say Kaddish for her next week, but I wanted to make sure everyone knew that she had passed. Does anybody else have the name of someone they'd like to add? The Kaddish praise is found on the previous page, as I invite anybody who would like to please rise, page 294 or 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomechonu chaydachol beit Yisrael, v'agalah v'zman kariv v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach l'olam olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'tromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudisha brechu, leila min kol birchata v'shirata, Tush bechata v'nechamata, Tamiram bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Hosei shalom b'marav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony and high bring peace to us and to the entire world, to which we say amen. And everyone standing, please be seated. As always, it's a pleasure to call up our Parnasit, our president, Leslie Westmoreland.
Hello, everyone. Good job. Sorry, took me a minute to get the button right there. I want to thank everybody for participating in the service tonight. It's so great to see everybody. It's nice to be back in the sanctuary, but the downside of that is we miss some people who maybe can't come on Friday nights or who live in Texas. So we're glad to have everybody on Zoom once a month. I just want a few announcements today. So please remember tomorrow, for those of you here in Savannah, is our Veterans Day service, which is always a lovely service. I know the Public Worship Committee worked on it, and I know Herbert and Teresa worked on putting out things from our archives for us to look at and to, help us really think about our history and the history of the veterans of our congregation. So that's tomorrow morning. And after that, we're having a special oneg that is sponsored by Lori Taylor in honor of her years serving as chairman of the Food Festival and everyone else who helped her along the way with that. And so there'll be food from some of the booths we would have had we been out in the park this year. And also it's a time where you can pick up your orders. And I know they've cooked some extra. So I think even if you haven't ordered and you show up tomorrow, they might be able to help you. And I also, the other announcement, just reminder, is Sunday is our a mini congregational meeting. It will really only take about 15 minutes or less. And that is on Zoom at 7 p.m. Please check the emails Jennifer has sent you. It's got the link to that and all the information you might need. And just contact me if you have any questions. Hope everyone has a wonderful weekend and good Shabbos.
Thank you, Leslie, as always. And thank you to everybody who participated. I'm going to put everybody on gallery view so we can say Shabbat Shalom. So thank you to Noel and Caton and Alan and Glenn and Flo and Leslie and Kelly and Jonathan and Malvina for joining us on Zoom. You guys, please turn to everyone and say Shabbat Shalom. We'll have you do it again in a second.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
We're going to conclude on page 376 or 680. It's just one verse, though, but we're going to sing God Bless America. I don't think I need to put that on the screen in honor of Veterans Day, as we're going to invite Kelly to lead us in God Bless America.
Just going to sing the first little part because I think it's really nice and we don't hear it much. And if you know it, sing along with me on your in your homes. While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
You're going to play that introduction tomorrow also, I hope? Oh,
Yeah.
Terrific. Thank you, Kelly. That was absolutely stunning as always. We're now going to return in our prayer book before we conclude our service. Again, Shabbat Shalom, as we're going to invite Caton to lead us in the blessing over the wine on page 5 or 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho Yahava uvaratzon hinkelanu, zikaron lamase bereshit, kihu yom tequila v'mikra kodesh, zecher litziat mitzrayim, kivanu b'chata, v'otanu kidashta, Mikol Hamim, Shabbat Kodshecha, Yahava Uvaratzon, Inchaltanu, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. And unfortunately, Lazarus has passed. So we are going to use a regular challah. Oh, Caden has one. I didn't take that out. Thank you, Caden.
I oblige. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please be safe. And Kelly, please play us out if you don't mind. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.